I was born in Hungary, a town called Szombathely, close to the Austrian border in 1940. It was the end of the war because the war started before I was born. I remember the end, especially a lot of the bombings, and I remember when the Germans left and the Russians came in. I don't remember my father leaving. He left when I was probably 2 years old. But I heard a lot about him from my mother. I remember something that me and my mother went and someone was leaving in the train station. My mother was crying. I never returned, so that's, for all practical purposes, I don't know him at all. We lived off, my mother made cigarettes for my father. He was going to send it to Russia, where he was, with the German and Hungarian army. And after the war, we sold the cigarettes. That's how we lived for about a year. Because the farmers had all the food, but they didn't have two things, tobacco and clothing. I went to boarding school when I was 18. I was, after junior high school. And that's when the revolution happened. That's when that's where I was when it happened, when it started, rather. I was 16. So in school, they told us to leave and go home any way you can. They didn't provide us with any transportation. They just said, go any way you can, hitch a ride, do anything, but don't stay here, because they were not going to be responsible for us. They had food, housing, but they said just go. They threw us out, basically. That's what happened. So I hitched a ride on a big truck that was transporting potatoes. I went about a day and a half with that. I went 100 kilometers, which is about 80 miles. Took us a day and a half. And after that, I hitched a train and I went home. So I got home, and everybody was around, and all of my friends, and we went out, and was this big store where they had a huge red star on top. So the people come around and was knocking off the red stars.
The symbol of communism.
Yes, exactly. And so we was looking at this. Nobody bothered to look in the back where the secret police showed up and they started shooting. So the kid next to me he's my age. And all of a sudden I looked there, I heard this thump, and all of a sudden I looked over and his head was gone. They shot him, killed him, among other people. And I had something, so we were running, and as I ran around the corner, hide behind the building, I felt this sharp pain in my right foot. And I don't know what it was, a bullet or a shrapnel, because they were throwing hand grenades too. And was bleeding, and my shoe was all gone and everything. But I was okay. I didn't break a bone or anything, so it wasn't that terribly critical, Then I went home. But then we went to, 2 days later, I bandaged it up, And 2 days later, we went to a jail, and people were opening the jails to free the political prisoners. And unknowing to me, a few Russians who left there, they were shooting pictures, the camera, the movies of people who were there, so they saw my face. And when the revolution was started to end, the Russians were coming in. A policeman who was a friend of my father before my father left to Russia. He came to the house and he told my mother, he said, tell your son to leave because his name is on the list to be arrested. We start arresting people in a couple of days. So that night I went to a railroad station, I hopped on the train, and next stop was Austria. Actually, we didn't go to Austria. The last station in Hungary was about 2 kilometers from the border. So we walked in the snow to go over there. We were extremely lucky because one of the border patrol officers led us across. So we came to this wooden bridge, and it was 3 Russian soldiers there. And it was about 80 of us with guns and everything. So the Russian looked at us, he turned whiter than the snow because he realized either he step aside or he'll be dead. I mean, these people who were with us, they were not going to be stopped. Some of them were officers, wounded and all that. So anyway, he walked away and he went behind and said, go ahead, I don't care. So we walked over this bridge. I remember it was snowing, it was cold as hell. And In the middle of the bridge was a big ceramic sign. All it said is Österreich. Didn't say welcome, didn't say anything, just said Österreich, you know.
Which is?
Austria, means Austria in German. So we went over there and then that's, you know, I got out, you know.